Welcome to Uncopyable Women in Business. I'm Kay Miller, also known as Muffler Mama. I've been the #1 salesperson in a male-dominated industry, a successful entrepreneur for over 30 years, and now my mission is to help you build a business and brand nobody else can compete with. If you're ready to break out of the pack and create your own uncopyable advantage, stay tuned. My guests and I are here to help.
Okay, great.
Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Liz Wendling, a nationally recognized sales consultant and author who helps people sell with confidence and integrity. Liz believes selling isn't about pressure or scripts, but how you show up and the words that you choose. If you want to sell in a way that feels natural and gets results, you are going to love this conversation. Liz, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, happy to be here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. This won't be out for a few weeks, but today is January 6th. January 6th. Ooh. And early in the new year, I mentioned that I went to the gym yesterday. Yay, I'm back on the wagon. And it was packed. So, Liz, I was introduced to you by Jackie Joy, a mutual friend. Jackie's awesome, and I really appreciate the connection. So, we're going to talk about sales. We're going to talk about your book. You have 2 books, but the one I recently read is Sell Without Selling Your Soul: How Smart Women Connect, Communicate, and Close with Confidence. We were just talking about something that you observed, and why don't we just dive into that about being pushy and the fear of being too aggressive, and how does that affect our sales?
Well, I'm sure you've heard that statement, I don't want to be pushy, or I don't want to be one of those salesy people, or I don't want to be one of those aggressive salespeople. And I always say, good, nobody wants that either. But it's become a really convenient label that we put on sales. And what I think it's more of an excuse when you say, I don't want to be one of those people, so I'm not going to sell at all. Well, that's great. Then you're not going to have a business. So it's not a really good excuse. It's like not going to the gym, right? It's too crowded. I don't want to go. Well, guess what? Then you're not getting fit. So I see a lot of people using the, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be pushy or aggressive. Like I said, nobody cares. Nobody wants that. But people use it to avoid stepping into selling in a way that actually requires that confidence, clarity, and conviction that is needed to help a prospect move into making a decision. They're coming to you to help them make a decision. You're not forcing anything on anyone. And there are a lot of aggressive salespeople out there. We know what it feels like. We've all had a conversation with those people. You don't have to be that, but you do have to choose what you want to be. If you say, I don't want to be this, then your next sentence better be, I want to be this instead. If you don't want to be salesy, then you have to say, I want to be direct. I want to be strong. I want to show up as authentic. So when people complain about being pushy, it's usually something else is under the surface. And they really need to address that and say, why am I resisting the only thing that keeps me in business? And that's sales. So I'll stop being pushy, or I won't be pushy, but I will be confident.
One thing that I hear a lot, and I talk about it too, is if you look at sales as helping, then it's a totally different conversation. You're not pushing and you're not being aggressive, you're helping. But as you've pointed out, I mean, you have to, then what are you doing? You're helping, but that's still not selling. So
that's right. Yay. Thank you for saying that.
You're help at the, food shelter, or the food bank. So
a lot of times also I hear, I'm not selling, I'm serving. I'm not selling, I'm educating. Well, it's great, but what happens when you actually do have to step into the selling part of your helping conversation? So serving and selling are intertwined. It's like the infinity symbol. You can't tell the difference when you're serving in the conversation or when you're selling. All it is a beautiful aligned conversation to help someone get what they need. And if it's not from you, then you send them on their way. That's all it is. It's a conversation, and people make it so much more difficult than it needs to be, or more inauthentic than it needs to be, than stepping into a conversation with somebody and seeing if you're the reason that they're talking and you can move to a decision, or not.
I think that's very critical because sometimes we get stuck chasing and chasing and chasing, and they're just not the right prospect for us. We, of course, we use the term moose as our ideal prospect. And, you might think that they're your moose and that you're a perfect fit, but then you find out they aren't. And instead of beating your head against the wall, like you said, help them make a decision, even if the decision isn't working with you.
Yeah. It might be later down the road, or it could be a hardcore no. That's okay. I would rather a no than to be dragged along behind a moving car thinking that I have to save this car. It's not going to happen. It makes it very heavy. It makes selling heavy, and it doesn't have to be. There's a way to do it that is light and enjoyable. If you want to stay in business, not everybody wants to. So if you don't want to sell, then you're putting yourself out of business little by little every day when you don't step into those conversations with that confidence and a real deep knowing and a trust in yourself that you could move somebody to make a decision, whether it's a yes or a no.
Right. And a lot of women listening, mostly women, and we talk about that, are business owners, and they started a business not to be a salesperson. They started a business because they have a special knowledge or talent or passion. And then they say, oh, no, I don't want to sell. Like you said, if you don't sell, or if somebody doesn't sell, and you as the owner must sell, you don't have a business. So let's get into a few of the actual specifics that I really liked about your book. And let's talk about really when you reach out to someone initially or as a follow-up about emails and the language that you use, the language and how you keep from boring them with a bunch of fluff and talking about the weather. So what do you recommend for emails?
Well, when it comes to the way people are reading emails today and going through their inbox or on LinkedIn and they're scrolling through their inbox there or anywhere that they're getting messages, the last thing you want to do is add unnecessary fluff and junk and all that stuff in the beginning that doesn't position you to stand out. All it does is affirm that you're just like everyone else. When you start out with, I hope you're doing well, or I hope you had a great weekend, or happy holidays to you. I'm not saying you can't wish somebody that, but don't start an email like that because everyone else is doing that. At the end of an email, I teach people to put it at the end. You could say, P.S., I hope you had a great weekend. Or, by the way, I hope all is well with you and you're having a great holiday. Something at the end versus leading with it. Because so many people are afraid of coming across in a specific way and soften it up and add the fluff in the beginning because they think that's what's going to get someone's attention, when in fact, it's not. It's getting to the point, but not in an abusive way. It's saying the reason for my email, or I'm reconnecting with you because you popped into my head and here's the reason why I'm reaching out to you or connecting with you. Instead of, hi, I hope all is well, or I hope you had a good weekend. No, you don't. If you don't know me and you start an email like that, I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, this total stranger hopes I had a great weekend. No, you're doing what millions of other people are doing, and you're leading with fluff, and it doesn't get anyone's attention. And I tell people, if you can't get someone's attention, you will never get their business. If you take nothing away today, if you can't get someone's attention and you get deleted, you're never going to get their business. So it's changing your language and writing an email that is written to someone, not feeling like it's written at someone. There's a big difference when you open an email and it feels like somebody sat down and thought about me when they wrote it. You don't know me, but it still feels like you did a little research on me and that it was written to me, not at me, like a lot of emails that sound very generic and it could be a copy and paste.
With AI, I've heard this and I've noticed it. I hope this email finds you well.
Finds you well. Oh, please.
A machine? The computer.
That's curse words to me. That is like starting out an email with 5 F words. It might as well be that because that's what it does to people. It makes people roll their eyes and go, seriously? So AI is even still teaching this.
Stand out or step aside. 5 uncopyable moves you can make today. That's the name of my free mini guide. Download yours at beuncopyable.com/K. Now, back to the show.
So here's an opportunity to shift your language, say something different. Don't be generic. Don't be typical so that you can get someone's attention.
I like that. And I sometimes fall into that trap. And, it's hard. You feel like you should do the social lubricant or whatever. But, to start out saying you're receiving this email because I learned this about you. And I think that, we have something interesting to talk about or whatever. But yes, there is a way to start with you. And that's a great point. There's a great point. There's also a word that is very overused in emails, and I want you to talk about what that word is.
Would that be the L word or the I word?
It's the I word. I don't know what the L word is, so let's start with the I word.
Okay, well, the I word is just that. It is I. It's all about how many times you use the word I. I would love to do this. I like to walk you through this. I'd love to schedule an appointment. I want to show you how great we are. I'd love to connect. I'd love to do this. I want to do this. I want to send you this. I want to invite you. It's I. And if people will just check their emails and how many messages you sent in the last quarter of 2025 and count how many times you talked about yourself, you made it about yourself. And I know people aren't doing this consciously. They're not saying, I want to make this all about me, but that's exactly what's happening. You look self-serving, unknowingly showing up self-serving when all you do is talk about what you want, what you are looking to do, what you think is a good idea, and how much you want them to see how great you are. It's not how it works, and it will not work moving forward. That stuff needs to be nipped in the bud right now. And every time you say you send a signal that it's all about you and not about them.
Well, and that is something I've gotten pretty good about in the habit of looking at my emails. And of course, always shocked at how many times I say I and say, how can I reword this so that it's about you and your, again, like you said, our company, we do this. It's all about us. So to look at those emails and count the I's. Now, what about the L word? I don't even know what you mean by that.
Oh, okay. That's a big one. All right. But one more little thing on the I word is a lot of times people think if they just take it out and say, want to see if this is a good fit for you. So don't think you're fooling yourself just taking the I out. It still conveys the same message.
The sentiment is there, huh?
Yes, but you brought up something important. You said, I check myself. I stop myself. I look to see how I could rewrite it. And that's all it takes is a few extra seconds to say, I want this person to open this email, feel like I've written it to them, not at them. How can I rework it and change it in such a way where it doesn't feel so self-serving? So it will require a little time. It's going to. But if you want someone to read your email, few extra seconds and do it the right way and make it matter.
It is very quick. I feel like I have gotten in the habit of it. And you just said something kind of like, I've written this, or this was written, or it's just some way to just, so you don't look at if you look at your email, of course, and it's like the red cars or whatever. If you just look at the eyes, sometimes you're horrified.
Yes.
The eyes have it.
They definitely do.
So what's that L word?
Okay, so the L word is love. And everyone on this call will know this because every email is littered with this. I read hundreds of emails a week when I'm working with a new client or a new customer. They send me a lot of their messages before we start working. I need to know a baseline of what they're saying and why people are avoiding them. And this is the word that comes up so often, where someone will, and again, I know people are not doing this on purpose. They're not showing up self-serving. They don't want to. They're not saying, I want to be a self-serving jerk. But this is what they sound like when they say, I'd love to schedule time with me. I'd love to get on your calendar. I'd love to show you this product. I'd love to see if we're a good fit. I'd love to set up a quick time to chat. Now, that is not an invitation. If you hear that in a way, it's what I want to do to you. I want to see if this is a fit for you. So you haven't invited me to a conversation. You commanded me to what you want to do. So you told me what you want. You have invited me to see if I want the same thing. And that is so huge for people when they look at their emails now again and see how many times you said, I'd love to set up a time to talk to you. I'd love to do this. I'd love to do that. Right there, more self-serving language. And then people don't realize that's why no one's getting back to me. That's why nobody's setting up a time on my calendar, because I'm telling them what I want versus an invitation about what I want. And again, it's just shifting it just a little to invite me into the conversation. Are you open to setting up a quick chat? How do you feel about getting together? What are your thoughts on? Tell me what to do. Invite me and watch what happens to your inbox. People will stop deleting you when you stop making it about yourself. So look at your I language of what you want to do. I, all the way to I would love. And the love word, it's not, keep love where it belongs. Love your children, love the planet, love your babies, love your husband or wife, but leave it out of emails. It doesn't belong there.
You're right. I think back, we've been around for a long time, and both of us, I think, are kind of in the same age group. And I think back, we didn't say the word love in business all the time 30 years ago, but now it worked its way into, I love ice cream. And yeah, that is a big trap. And I fall into it too. Again, that's why I look at every email before I send it. And, love, like you said, I would love to meet you. Hopefully you would love something more than that, but
yes.
Good point.
And the other way people use love is they say, I love your hair. I love your blouse. I love your shoes. Again, you're actually not even giving a compliment to the person who deserves it. Your hair is beautiful. Your scarf looks great on you. Your eye color is glorious. It's not you. And again, I know people until I point this out, they go, oh my God, I've been saying that forever. Oh my gosh, no wonder why they don't realize how it lands. It's not the word love that bothers people. It's the way it lands. It doesn't create an opening. It actually can close the door. When you say, I would love to do this. Well, yeah, that's what you want. Now, what about me? Of course, you love to set up a time to talk. You want my business. And you just proved it. You just proved to me that all you want is to get my business. And that's not going to work today, moving forward into 2026 and beyond.
Good way to put it. Yes. What would they love to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to get one of the things I loved. Oh no, I said that, but I did.
That's okay.
I'm passionate. I'm passionate about something that you wrote in the book, and you just talked about it. Being afraid to be pushy and not aggressive. So let's talk a bit about how do you define confident selling versus aggressive? And I would like to get into some of those closing lines that you can share with our listeners. We hear a lot of times about helping and all of these things, but we don't hear it. Like you said, it's almost like people think it contradicts with closing, and it does not. It all leads to close. So let's talk about confident, aggressive, and closing.
And when people are aggressive, then when they complain about, I don't want to be aggressive or I don't like aggressive salespeople, I think we can all say nobody does. But it's not usually about someone not paying attention or it's someone who isn't reading the room. When somebody's being aggressive, they're not really in tune with the other person. They're doing that I'm coming at you, not with you type situation. So they're not reading the room. They're not respecting the boundaries. They're not picking up some subtle cues that someone is not enjoying this conversation.
They're not loving it.
They're not loving it. And let's swing the pendulum all the way to the other side is the passive salesperson. So nobody likes passive and no one likes aggressive. No one likes a wishy-washy salesperson. Well, that could work. Yeah, that might be good for you. Or, oh, I'm not sure. Or why don't you just get back to me when you're ready? Nobody wants that either. But I see people try to avoid being aggressive. They don't want to be aggressive so much that they swing the pendulum so far to the other side that they show up as passive, wishy-washy, and weak. And I don't know about you, but I don't want someone there either. I'd rather an aggressive salesperson that I can tone down versus someone who's so passive that I have to say, all right, well, you're not telling me what to do. You're not giving me what I need. So there's no way I'm buying from you. So it's not passive and it isn't aggressive. It has to be precise. And the best professionals aren't aggressive or passive. They're precise because they're asking questions, but they're also asking uncomfortable questions. They're asking those questions that get behind the reason why the conversation is happening. They're confident in going there and scratching the itch, poking the bear, not in an aggressive way, in a way that gets someone to say, wow, this person knows what she's doing. This guy really is talking to me like he's done this before. I like the confidence that he has. And they also know when to shut up, when to stop talking, when to let the other person open up so that they can get more information to help the conversation. So it really will never be about being passive and tone yourself down or being aggressive and go at it. It is that precise middle of the road way to sell that aligns with who you are. And you got to figure that out. And when I'm working with people, we figure out where that line is, where that precision is. Some people, I've had clients, I work with a lot of attorneys, and one had asked me, he said, I curse in my consultation. Every time he's a defense attorney, and he said, I curse. Please don't make me stop cursing. And I said, I'll never make you stop doing that, but we have to figure out, is your cursing making someone uncomfortable? Is it in and positioned in the right place where it matters, or are you just dropping F-bombs because you like them? And he said, okay, I could work with you with that. He felt I had to push up against that because I wasn't going to tell him not to curse, but I wasn't going to give him the go-ahead to make other people uncomfortable. I said, not everybody's comfortable with that. So it's really knowing how to balance that, but it requires paying attention and picking up on the cues when people are ready to be closed or ready to make a decision or maybe not make a decision today. Those, I could never tell someone, here's one closing question to say, or here's one thing you can do to close business. Although the internet will tell you that for $100, you can buy my program that will teach you how ways to close 100% of the time. It's just BS. And every person is different. Every sales conversation is different. And every way that you talk to someone has that different flavor to it. And if you're really in the conversation with someone, you know exactly what to do next. The next logical place to go just happens. You don't have to think, do I close now? Is this where I use my script? No, it's logical. It just moves and it flows if you allow it to go there. So when I'm working with people and we do role plays, we will get to that point where I'm throwing them curveballs and I'm throwing up roadblocks, or I'm in a spot where I'm ready to be closed. And I want them to know, oh, I just felt that. Like, oh yeah, this feels like a natural place to ask this. There's no scripting in your head or a checklist that says, wait, I have 7 more questions to ask before I close. So it isn't about doing it with timing or on a script. It's about knowing intuitively when that happens. And the more you do it, oh my gosh, the better you get at it because it just flows.
That's a great point. Practice doesn't always make perfect, but it makes better improvement. And you're saying, I think sales is part art and part science. It's really tuned into that person. Like you said, maybe your cursing attorney might pick up on clues if that's okay with this person or not. But I like your point about, helping them make these decisions and being certain or being an authority. We read so much about buyers are finding out so much information online before they even get to you. Well, that's what online cannot do. They can't guide you. You said ask those questions behind the questions. And then you do become helping. You're not just giving them, here's the information I have, let me find out about you, but you're leading, and you say sales is leadership in a way, right?
Yes, it is. And someone could bone up on how to get divorced or how do I redo my kitchen, and you come armed and dangerous. But when you have a contractor sitting in your house who says, it sounds like you've done your research, and I appreciate that you have all these pictures here and we're ready for this conversation. But there's a couple of things we need to get to before we get to that. And I'm using that example because that's what a contractor did in my own home when I was redoing my kitchens and bathrooms. And I was so excited. I think I was overly excited because this was the day I was doing it. And I had a few contractors come, and I was checking out how they sold to me. And this one gentleman was so cool with me. He goes, I can tell you're so excited. And he said, even in your email last night when I confirmed with you. And he said, before we get to that, I want to look at all your pictures and I'm going to answer all your questions. But I kind of want to set the tone for what we're going to do today. And I so appreciated that he was saying, I'm not in control, but I'm in charge. I've got this. I do this all day, every day with people, and I want to keep us on track. So let's do it this way. No different than a divorce attorney sitting down with a brand new client saying, Mary, I appreciate you coming in today to talk about the state of your marriage. But let's go over some of the ways that I like to have a conversation with you about the steps to take and what's going on. Why don't we start here? And that really shows someone that I got your back. I've got this versus, oh, what can I help you with today? What brings you in today? What brings me in is I'm getting a divorce. Don't ask me that stupid question. Or, so what are you looking to do in your home today? I want something that says, I got your back. So that is another thing people could start looking at. How do you position yourself as, I'm here to lead us, not sell to you, not force you into something or make you uncomfortable. I'm here to lead you because this is what I do all day, every day. And this is the first time you're doing your kitchen. You may not know. This may be your first divorce or bankruptcy or DUI, whatever it is.
Boy, that is just awesome. I love that example, those specific examples, especially your personal example. And it brings to mind the fact that we should all, study our own conversations with salespeople, our own interactions and experiences, because there's that fine line. We don't want somebody who's aggressive and pushy. We also don't want somebody to just say, well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. That's why you're here, right? So
one of the other things I do is I do law firm secret shopping. So I actually will be hired by a law firm to get on a Zoom call. I change my name on the screen and I take on the mindset, the emotion and the persona of somebody who either just got charged with a drug situation or a DUI or divorce or bankruptcy. And I take that on and I'm assessing how that attorney is talking to me, communicating with me, setting the tone, asking for the business, handling my objections. And then I report back to the managing partner. And that is where they really get to see, holy wow, we've got some problems. This person did this to you, said that to you, didn't ask you about that. And then I know where the starting point is. So if I don't secret shop someone, I usually do a mock consultation or I do some kind of mock sales call with people. So I can get a true sense of where they're missing the mark, where are they doing a bang out job and where are they falling short? And that allows me to understand and give people the coaching they need, not what I think they need. It's truly what they need because they mirrored it to me. They showed me how they show up every day. So this is how I know what actually happens in almost every initial consultation or conversation in a sales conversation that people have and where they're doing great and where they miss the mark. So this is how I built my business, is knowing what happens in those rooms and what's not being given to the person who really needs it in those moments, depending on what they're buying.
Well, sounds like you are definitely very wise and experienced and have a lot of insights. I love the way that you're doing those, listening into, or what did you say? Secret shopping. Secret shopping. That's a great idea. And brave of those customers, clients to have you do that. It's probably scary, but the rewards, I'm sure, are beyond worth it. That's a really great service that you offer. And speaking of, let's talk about how people can get a hold of you. what you offer besides your fabulous books. I mentioned Sell Without Selling Your Soul, How Smart Women Connect, Communicate, and Close with Confidence. And I do think women, we have some special situations, challenges maybe sometimes not as forthright as we should be. So just talk about how can people reach you, follow you, possibly work with you.
They can go to my name website, lizwendling.com. They can find me on LinkedIn. I post all the time. YouTube channel with some real concrete examples, some things where you could listen and go, oh boy, I think I may need help with that. Or what she's saying no longer works. I need help, or I need help writing new messages. I'm prospecting every day. Nobody's getting back to me. So I have a sales clinic and a sales messaging clinic. So almost it's more about messaging if people want prospecting or a real full sales process. They join the clinic and they get prescriptions and ways that are unique to their business. And it's all about working. I do a lot of one-on-one or small group training. And it's taking a look at what used to work, what no longer does, and how to fix it and put in what does now. But it has to fit you as well. So it fits the world and it fits you. And then you are off and on your way to making it happen.
Well, that's just great. And I love your enthusiasm about this. You obviously love what you do. It houses you up, and you're helping people, but you're helping them, make the sales. Yes. And so I will put all those links in the show notes, and I'm going to go check those out as well. Before we started our interview, which wasn't really an interview, conversation, I asked you to provide some specifics, and boy, did you deliver. You've got
good. I'm glad.
I really appreciate it. I know we were going to close with a point that you already made, just about the I's in your emails. That's something you said you'd recommend, and it's easy to do, right? Just go back through some of your emails.
Yep. Start there. Would you respond to your own emails? If you got an email that says, can I get 15 minutes of your time, but you gave me no value or no reason to give you 15 precious minutes, then rewrite it. You can't ask people for their time if you are not showing them that there's a value in that. And every time you say, I want to do this, or I would love to do that, rewrite it and start paying attention to how your responses change. When people respond to you a little faster and more often. That is really cool when that happens. And my favorite thing in my business, when people will say, Liz, this person hasn't gotten back to me in 3 months. I've sent 7, 8 emails, and I know they're a good client. And then together we work on an email that brings it back to life a little bit, and they get a response, and they're like, holy. And that just makes me light up, because when you shift your language, you can get a different response. But if you keep sending the same email, I'm just following up, I just want to see if you want to work with me, I'm just touching base, that isn't enough to get somebody moving. But when you shift the whole theme of the message, that's when people turn around and respond back. Even if it's a no, leave me alone, but you got a response.
Exactly. And that is really job one. One of the hardest things about sales is to get that initial connection. So,
correct.
Liz, this has been a fantastic 30 minutes. I know listeners are going to just love this and jump all over your advice. Please look at the show notes so you can find the ways to connect with Liz and find her YouTube channel, books, everything else. So I just want to end this up by saying thank you, Jackie, for referring Liz to me, for connecting us. And thank you, Liz, for being on the podcast.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciated it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Uncopyable Women in Business. If you enjoyed it, please follow, rate, and review the show. And be sure to visit beuncopyable.com/K. Always remember, be uncopyable.